Welcome to Holding Space. Michael Zinn is a visual producer and creative photographer using his imaginative visionary energy to channel Zen and hold space for spiritual and innovative discussion. Each episode creates a supportive, accepting, and open environment that allows exploration and expertise to come together with engaging and entertaining convergence. With guest and community all helping the shape of the way, Michael is grateful to be together to hold space. Now here is your host of Holding Space, Michael Zinn.
Yes, here I am, once again holding space. I am Michael Zinn. I am just a regular guy, just like you, who happens to be in a community full of amazing folks, all with amazing gifts in all different modalities. And what I do here on Tuesday nights is I hold space for a guest. I learn all about them. Sometimes it's somebody I know and I share who they are with you guys, holding space. Sometimes it's somebody I don't know and I'm holding space for myself as well with this guest to learn about the guest and kind of share with you. And that's what this show is all about. So welcome. I appreciate you guys being here, as well as my shadow here. I see me and my shadow in the audience there, pulling up a front seat. Nice to see you, me and my shadow. Always good to see you here. If you are watching the show live, just give me a comment, type hashtag live just to tell the algorithm that you're out here watching. That kind of helps, tickles the algorithm a little bit. It helps share the program out to people who have similar interests to what your algorithm is. So there you go. There's a little bill paying there, I guess, in a way. Anyway, it is Tuesday, August 18th. Holy moly, the summer is flying by. I'm not super upset because I've got some exciting things coming up in the future. And starting at the end of August, heading to New Jersey, Starland Ball for the Bent Brother show, which is a warm-up show for a tour. If you guys don't know who Bent Brother is actually a pseudonym, kind of a secret stage name for Twisted Sister. Who on Long Island, when they would play shows after they got famous, they would bill themselves as Bent Brothers so that they wouldn't crowd out the venue and only like the true fans knew that they were Bent Brother. But I'm excited because that's going to be the warm-up show, Starland Ballroom in New Jersey. And then the next week in September, I'm off to Alaska, to the Alaska State Fair, to do the background screens for the Twisted Sister show. I mean, I can't believe it, right? I've created my own reality, like my other show, Live Stream of Consciousness, Creating Reality. It's all about, our thoughts are our reality and, our essence and all of those things and manifestation and all that. So I'm really excited to have been asked to go out on the tour. I'm excited to start that in a couple weeks. What's up, Christy Wilson? Good to see you from Utah out there. A lot of stuff going on in Utah right now, right? With Reckless Ben and Bricks and Minifigs. I don't even know if my audience knows any of that stuff, but that's a fascinating story from the internet that's going on right now. And I saw Utah and I just thought of it. Anyway, let's get the show started. If you haven't been here before, I do have a co-host. My co-host is my singing bowl, Sage. Sage helps me to clear out the space intentionally, not the kind of sage that you light, but the kind of sage that creates a frequency and a sound, and also helps me to center myself, and hopefully some of you guys out there as we do the 3 breaths to just kind of set the intention for the next hour, and connect with our breaths. It's something that we're doing all day long. We don't even think about it. It just happens. And what's up, Labyrinthian? Good to see you. It just happens. And that's great because it keeps you alive. But I think when you connect with your breath, when you do it intentionally, when you feel it coming in through your nose and filling up your lungs, and you let it out and intentionally kind of release energies that you don't need as you're letting it out. I feel like that's important. That's why I've made it part of my show. Um, so let's do it together. I'm going to do it with Sage. And give me some feedback. I've been playing around with the sound, right? Because StreamYard ducks out the sound a little bit while I'm doing the thing and shouldn't duck it out. You should still hear Sage nice and clear. And if you guys can hear me all right, then I think we're good. So let's do it together again, in through the nose, hold it up at the top, release, feel it intentionally. Here we go. In through the nose, hold it up at the top for a second, and intentionally feel it leave. Sigh it out. You can make a sound. Let's do another one. In through the nose. Hold it up at the top and feel yourself sinking into your chair. Your shoulders relaxing as you let out your breath. One last one together. Hold it up at the top just for a second and release. I love it. Breathing is fundamental. I got that from, I don't know, nobody's even acknowledged that reference from like when I was a kid. They used to have it on TV. Reading is fundamental. I think it was Reading is Fundamental, and it was Riff. Riff was the program. They'd go around with a truck and give books out to like inner city kids. Does anybody remember that? Is this like a Mandela effect? I don't know. Anyway, all right. I'm excited. Tonight, my guest is Nancy Lombardo. Nancy Lombardo is an amazing medium, and she comes from a background, like kind of an unexpected background. She's like a leader, a thought leader, a coach, all of these amazing things. I don't have her website in front of me. I had it up before, so I had the exact words I wanted to say, but I don't. But I'm excited to talk to her because I feel like we come from very different places into the same place, which I think is the point of it all. And I love those kind of conversations. I love finding common ground. I love talking to everybody who's so different than me, and seeing a reflection. It's like it's the coolest thing. So, welcome to Holding Space, Nancy Lombardo. How you doing, Nancy?
Hey, thank you, Michael. Thank you for having me. And the sound was perfect on the bowl.
Oh yeah, it came through.
Yeah,
It didn't like dissipate. It's sometimes the StreamYard like ducks it
yeah,
out so you can't hear it. But cool, awesome. So I got the settings correct.
you did.
I'm excited about that. I did have your website up because I didn't want to get it wrong, and I probably already did. Um, so let me see if I could find it again. Where did your website go? Did I have it open in the other browser? I think. What's that?
Wellness with Nancy.
Well, okay, let me start typing and it should just come back in. That's the problem. I had it in my Safari browser and I'm in my Chrome browser. Hold on a second. Wellness with Nancy. I'm going to put that up in the bottom as well for people to check it out. Um, but I started to like research you a little bit, and immediately you're greeted by your logo, which is this angel kind of in a badge,
Mhm.
which is was a really interesting image for me. I'm going to actually share my screen and share your website
Well, thank you.
with the audience for a moment. Oh,
Doing a yoga pose.
ooh, I don't know what's going on now. What's going on? Hold on. I'm getting some sort of echoes and a delay. Oh, I see what's going on. Okay. Somehow I opened up the YouTube video of the show, so it was playing in the background. Weird. That has never happened before. All right. So
Gotta love life.
in yeah, live technology, right?
Mhm.
Let me just go back and open up your website again, because I was like, I just started closing all my windows. All right. And I see Kelly jumped on. She's like, what's going on? Are you all right? She's here to help me. Allow to share window.
You're
I'm
so
going to share this window. There we go. Back. Now we are back where I wanted to be. That was a weird time warp. So I see this angel in a yoga pose, in a badge, and I just start reading about you and your military background and your police background and your I guess to me again, I call it a disciplinary background, because that's where I feel like we come from different backgrounds, right? Discipline has always been a problem for me, and not in a bad way, but just like a more regimented lifestyle, and I always have a great respect. I have many friends who have been in the military, you know what I mean? And I certainly understand what going through boot camp is, and kind of the whole idea of really, I guess it's a lifestyle, right?
Oh,
I guess you would say it's a lifestyle, right?
and there's a lot of police officers that come from military backgrounds because it's a natural segue, you know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then you kind of combine it, or I guess you kind of shift it over to this spirituality. I definitely see the crossover in like wellness, right? In general health and wellness. And then even in mental health, I can see the relationship. But I feel like spirituality kind of is not something that people would normally associate with that, right? That kind of lifestyle. So I found it very interesting, and I just wanted to. That's what I wanted to kind of talk about, like the balance. I started watching some of your videos and immediately like resonated with everything that you were saying. What the video I watched specifically, let's start here, is the mudra video. What is this called? The specific type of mudra.
The other hand, was it the praying hand?
Yeah, the praying hands.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I know for me in my journey, I don't love using that word, but in my life, right, in my experiences, when I would meditate for the first time, I was starting to learn how to meditate in group meditations. I naturally would gravitate to a pose, and I would sit like that. And even just doing it now, right? I can feel that energy. I can feel that connection, because it's, I think, intention and conscious. There's a conscious energy that's happening when you do that. Um, so I guess my first question would be, how did this all start? How did you combine those? Was it always this way for you?
No,
No.
but the yoga part of it did start when I was a detective, because I found, I worked some really horrible crimes, in all honesty, and my caseload was just through the roof, and I couldn't breathe. I'd go to work and I just was so overwhelmed, didn't know where to start, just crazy. And someone
Mhm.
had suggested, well, why don't you try yoga? And
Mhm.
I've always been fitness. I was a fitness instructor for all the new rookies that would come in. So, and I'm a runner, but yoga,
Mhm.
not my thing. And
Mhm. Mhm.
so I tried yoga and I wasn't hooked immediately. It started growing on me. You did the breathing thing right off the bat, right? Because, like you said, just the 3 breaths, isn't that amazing how that calms you just like that?
Totally. I love it. That's why I do it, because I just feel like it puts me in the right frame of mind, and whoever's out there doing it with me, I'm sure they would agree, and people have written to me and said, "Hey, thanks for doing that."
Right. I mean, it's such a simple little thing, and it really does instantly ground you. So,
Mhm.
it really caught on with me, the yoga part of it, and I would use the breathing techniques. When I felt that overwhelmness and when I couldn't breathe, I would do it, and it really, really put me back into the place and space I needed to be.
Mhm.
Most
Mhm.
cases, um, I had when I retired, I moved here to New York, and I actually couldn't. I loved my yoga instructor, and finding the right instructor is key. But I couldn't find that person that I wanted to work under here, so I decided to go get certified myself so I could teach the type yoga that I wanted to give to people.
Mhm.
kind of all began. It wasn't. It was definitely a segue into it. It wasn't the whole time there.
And you know, and that makes perfect sense to me because I do feel like there's a discipline aspect to fitness. Um, Interestingly enough, yoga is probably one of the few forms of like regimented exercise that I do resonate with, and I can easily say, "Oh yeah, okay, I'll do that." You know what I mean? I don't. There's no resistance, to it because I do find there's an element to yoga that is that kind of spiritual connection to your breath, even to your body, right? I mean, I know, lifting weights and doing raw exercise certainly is, but I think yoga is kind of a more connection with the mind, through your thoughts and intentions. Um, for me, you know what I mean? It is, and
That's what it is. Mind, body, spirit.
yeah.
It's a true connection if you teach it correctly. It's not the donkey yoga or whatever the heck else yoga they do. It's a specific type of yoga teaching of it.
Right. And so, through yoga, meditation, did you come across meditation? Do you practice
Yes.
meditation?
Yeah, I teach meditation. I practice
Hmm.
meditation. That was a little bit harder to be able to
Hmm.
calm my mind because my mind goes a lot of different places, and it's. But
Hmm.
I would have to say, in all honesty, my running people would be like, "Well, that's not meditation." But for me, because I'm a distance runner, and I would run
Hmm.
distance, and I would
Sure.
get into a zone, and that's
Sure.
a meditative state. That's where a lot of my writing comes from. That's where my poetry comes from. It was always in that state of running. Uh,
Amazing.
so
I'm surprised people would even say that it isn't, right? Because I feel like that's such a flow state, even just to run and especially distance running, you know what I mean? To just kind
yeah,
of keep going, I mean that I can imagine. It's not something I do. I mean, I've run. I kind of can imagine getting in my head. You know what I mean? And just kind of not even realizing that my body's running, right? Your body's kind of on
yes.
autopilot and you're doing the work up here, you know?
And it's the
Uh,
breathing, the two in, two out, two in, two out. Because people are like, how do you do
hmm.
that breathing? It's like you just regulate that breathing. And once you do it, you don't even know you're doing it that way. And you
Hmm.
can run for
Hmm.
a long time, talk to people, whatever. Yeah, it's so funny.
Right, right.
Yeah,
Wow. Oh, you know what? I turned off my banner and then oh, she made the banner. Oh, I was like, oh, there's a banner running, but it was the right banner. That's what Kelly was doing. All right, Kelly. Thank you, Kelly. Now I don't know where it is. Now I've got to reach with. Uh, I don't know where it is. Maybe she'll come back on and put it back up. But that was it. I'll find it. I'll put it back up. Oh my God, I'm at. It must be some sort of weird astrological thing going on. So let me just concentrate on you because I'm really interested in your journey and kind of going from this disciplined world to this more spiritual world. There, she popped on. She's going to do it for me. Thank you, Kelly. She's amazing. Um, so I guess for me, again, it's just such a different world for me. Okay, so this is what I was thinking, and and again, I'm hoping that I'm presenting this the right way, right? I feel like part of discipline is this control,
hmm
right? It's kind of almost like a need for control, which I think is part of my excuse I make in my head why I don't right pursue discipline because no, I let everything happen the way it's supposed to, right? Like I'm going with the flow. I don't need to regiment my life like people who, have their Starbucks every day and if they Starbucks is closed, like, oh my God, they freak out, it's like I'm like, what, really? Um, so I guess you started meditating, you did yoga. Tell me about the more, I guess, how am I trying to think of this, Nancy, to put to you? The world that you came from, right? Police investigation, crimes, all of these things that you talk about. That's very visceral, that's very 3D,
hmm
right? What was the turning point for you? Like what helped you kind of balance that out, if that's the right way to put it?
Yeah, because I don't, when you have a 30-year career in law enforcement, during that time and during that chaos and during the crazy, I don't feel like I was spiritual at all, in all honesty. Um, I,
Okay.
I was lacking that part of myself because you can't let yourself feel, right? You got to go this, dit, every day, every day, every day.
And that was why I was like so amazed. I'm like,
Yeah,
okay, like
it
how do
wasn't
you
there. Mm-mm.
okay, okay,
I
okay.
mean, in all honesty, I would almost be an atheist at the time because I didn't want to believe in anything. I didn't believe in anything that could allow so much horrible things to happen to people. I
Hmm.
couldn't make
Hmm.
sense of it, and so I didn't want to make sense of it because you just have to go to the next case, right? So
Right.
you just don't let yourself feel, and that's honestly how a lot of police officers do what they do to this day. They got that
Sure.
shield of armor, which is why my logo
Sure.
has that shield in it because it's
Sure.
and you protect your mind, you protect your body, you protect your spirit by not feeling.
Right. No, and that totally makes sense. And I do believe that's kind of I guess you would almost say that's like the power of the human mind, right? Like we can do that if we choose. It's the power of free will, it's the power of perception, right? It's a bunch of things combined to put yourself intentionally into that space. So, okay, so that is perfect because that really brings me to the thoughts I was having. How do you reconcile or balance that now, knowing and we didn't even talk about where you're at now, right? And what you believe, but I feel like you are connected to love, you're connected to good, right? But
I
you
was always connected to that throughout my career for sure. You know,
okay,
I always felt like I treated everybody, no matter who you were, like I wanted to be treated. I was always connected to that. So that never, and you
amazing.
sense of love, even for the homeless, for
Yeah,
the drug addicts, there's that sense of wanting to help, right? Because that's what we do. We're always
sure.
wanting to help. So that has always been there, but it was maneuvering it back into my life at a different level.
Okay, and so maybe you can help the question a lot of people ask, right? Like not who don't understand good and evil. What's your reconciliation, right? What's your explanation of why does that even exist?
Life lessons. That's the only explanation I can make of it. Uh,
Hmm.
I know a lot of people use the term true evil and these devil terms, and I don't use those terms. I just don't. These
Hmm.
are all life lessons. We're on a life path, and we have
Hmm.
very different life paths, don't we? Very different
Hmm.
life paths.
Absolutely.
And making sense of why we individually are on a certain path, that's the big question, isn't it?
So, okay, this is great. This is amazing. So, and actually it makes a lot of sense, right? Watching some of your videos, I saw the video you did on gratitude as well, right?
Hmm.
So, the word that's coming to my mind right now is forgiveness.
Hmm.
Um, so even though you're saying that your whole police career, you weren't there, you weren't spiritual, you had to have been experiencing some sort of forgiveness through that.
Forgiveness. I don't know if I would have used the word forgiveness at the time.
Okay.
I
Hmm.
would definitely
Hmm.
say understanding.
Compassion.
Um, one of the things I did was work with sex offenders, and a lot of
Hmm.
people can't work with sex offenders. And at one time, I was in charge of 122, and you have to deal with them
Wow.
on a different level, because a lot of people would just like throw them in the trash, but they're a person too, aren't they? Uh,
Hmm. Hmm.
Believe it or not. So
Yep.
I think
No,
it's
I do believe it. I do believe it. And that's really that's the conversation I want to have, Nancy. Because I, I acknowledge this, right? I acknowledge that this exists, but I don't speak out against it, right? And there's a good friend of mine, Arnie, who speaks out very vocally about this. And I sometimes get upset, Arnie, sorry, when Arnie says that if you're not doing something, you're complacent and you're allowing it and you're supporting it.
Mhm.
And I just don't agree. And he kind of talks about love and light is like, what are you going to do? Just give it love and light. And I think maybe he misunderstands the idea of what that even means. But I'm not, like he's got to, Arnie, you've got to process things the way you're processing them, right? And that's really why I wanted to talk to you, because you have that experience, right? So specifically, working with sex offenders and kind of even being able to work with them, right? And not just being like, I want to take you out, right? Because
Yeah,
of who you are, right? Like, I
yeah.
mean, that to me is amazing love. That's an amazing amount of love. So again, even though you say I wasn't spiritual or at that place, like there was a part of you that was, you know what I mean? Based in that love, there had to have been.
Like I told you, it was always that part of me that treat others as you want to be treated, no matter who you are.
Right.
It's equality at its best and finest. Um, and it's always been what I do with everybody, like I told you that. And like I said, it's just that sense of understanding. You got to remember, most sex offenders statistically have been victims themselves. That's how
Hmm.
they felt the way they do.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
What do you do with that?
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, agreed, agreed. And it's at least kind of the point of not reacting and taking a step back and being like, whoa, wait a second, like let's figure out what's going on here, right? Like the psychological aspects of it and the mental health aspects of it, and
Yeah,
and that's again, that's like such a heavy part of it, right? And a lot of times here on the Sacred Spiral Network, we are talking about, hey, we are intentionally loving and bringing this light to earth, and we're talking about that and celebrating it, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Of course, I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but I do. That's why I was excited to have you on the show, because I do believe we do need to acknowledge, right, darkness. Um, you know what I mean? And for you very specifically, that was a big part of your whole journey to the light, right?
yeah, 100%, 100. I had a girl. It was about a year or so ago. I put her away for 20 years. She spent 20 years in prison. But good old social media and your face out there. She found me. She reached out to me and she actually messaged me and thanked me. She thanked me. She said,
Wow.
as hard as that was, that I changed her life. And in retrospect, she was, the way I treated her. And it was a hard time in prison, but she came out a better person. And she actually,
Wow.
and I thought, wow, isn't that something?
What a testament to you. I
Oh,
mean, really to like who you are as an essence, and how you affect, like I'm gonna say that's kind of the same energy that you were talking. I was like, why does this exist, right? Why does this evil exist? You're saying life lessons, and here's this good that exists. That's also life lesson energy, right? And like, it's such an amazing story. Like, it's just really, really amazing. So, okay, so you had to get away, right, to kind of find this lighter part of yourself. And does the what does the past self play of, like, what is that role in your life today? I mean, is it just kind of like something to stand on and say, hey, look, I've been there, kind of thing? Or, I mean, does it,
oh,
how does it affect you personally?
100%. And any police officer that has a career the length of mine, or longer, I usually tell people there's not one thing, and I'm dead serious, not one thing you could tell me that would shock me, that would surprise me, that I haven't heard before, that I haven't seen before. So I feel like I can relate to people on all and any level and
Hmm.
meet their level.
Hmm. Hmm.
Difference. It's one thing, even, counselors, they try to talk to police officers. They're not going to understand that. They
Right.
but they're not going to exactly understand that moment or where they're at. But most people that I come into conversation with, I can meet them exactly where they're at.
Hmm. Hmm. Wow. Yeah, that it sounds like it. I mean, just the story that you just told is it's fills my heart. It really does. Just to know that that's happening out there, you know what I mean, in the world. Amazing. So tell me about maybe your experience outside of that, right? Like, I don't really know what your non-physical experiences or beliefs are. Does that come into play?
Well, when I retired, like I said, I moved back here to New York because my family was here, and I spent my entire career away from my family. So I watched my parents die, my grandmother die. I came
Mhm.
back to what little family I had left. But where I retired to and where I ended up at was two completely different places. Yeah, I was never. I live here in Lilydale, New York, and for anybody
Mhm.
who doesn't know what that is, we are a spiritualist community, the
Mhm.
largest one in the world. And it was never a place I would have ever told you 10 years ago, oh, I'm going to go live in Lilydale, New York. No, not
Yeah.
not on the books, not anywhere. No one comes here thinking they're going to move to Lilydale. That's not how it works. I came to Lilydale to understand about mediumship.
Mhm.
Because I was very interested in it. I felt that I had felt things, especially through my career, I didn't understand. And now I had time to explore that, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
And so I came here to learn about mediumship, and I learned from some of the best. Um,
Mhm.
and one day I drove out of here after attending a circle, and I thought, I'm moving to Lilydale. And that's honestly, it was just that knowing. That's how it worked. And I'll be damned, I ended up here.
Mhm. 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 Amazing. And I mean, obviously, I guess you're going to say it was a calling, right? I mean, of sorts, right?
Yeah, I guess it was a calling and a realization that, I've probably been psychic most of my career. I think a lot of police are. They don't call themselves that.
Mhm.
Especially
Mhm.
if
Mhm.
you're not going to ask a question to somebody that you don't know the answer to. Call
Right.
it psychic, call it intuition.
Right.
Um,
Yep. Yep. Yep.
the mediumship was a little bit deeper level to have to
Mhm.
hold that and peel that back and find out that I had gifts in that area also.
Mhm. Mhm. Was there a certain I asked this on my other show. Was there a certain moment or experience that you had, and maybe this wasn't after you retired, maybe this was earlier in life, where you kind of knew that there was something other than the physical realm?
Oh yeah. I was raised Catholic, but we had a suicide in my family when I was 9 years old at my house that I lived in.
Ooh.
After that suicide, I felt that presence from the get go, not understanding what it was.
Hmm. 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 Hmm.
Um, so most mediums, they're either born with it, right, inherited, or a traumatic event.
Yeah, I guess I would say most, but through my travels, a lot of people I mean, now I think it's important that people realize that I think we're all mediums,
Yes.
right, to a
Oh,
degree. And
yes.
I think that the idea of like going to the gym, right, like it's just something that needs to be developed. If you're interested in working it out, you've got to work out those muscles and work out those, I say muscles as a metaphor because I think it's more of a mental thing, right? I think it's more of a perceptive thing and an exercise in thought, an exercise in imagination. I mean, if you understand what I mean when I say that.
100%. And I didn't mean to sound like, mediums are, whatever, because you're right. We teach that here specifically. Anyone can be a medium. We are all
Right,
medium. It's a matter of whether
right.
you want to develop that right side of your brain or not, because it's all there.
Right, right. But again, and well, the reason I responded is because you said most mediums are born with it, but I just happen to know a lot of people who just were interested and were like, I want to study this, and then opened themselves up and said, oh, wait a second, and then maybe even remembered, oh, wait a second, when I was younger, I experienced this or I experienced that. Or just, I think, as you explore mediumship and what it is, intuition, you even said the word intuition, right? It's
Mhm.
like an inner part of you that's an inner knowing, a guidance, right? um that being said, do you have experience with personal guides, your own spirit guides?
There, I do feel like I have guides around me, but
Hmm.
um, I personally like to work with source.
Okay. But I'm the same way. I certainly know that there are things around me. I know that there are higher aspects of myself that I can ask for help if I want, but like I just don't feel like that's the way I personally operate, right? Like I just kind of like do I just do my own thing. Um, but you know, just curious because I feel like, you know, that's why I love talking to people and getting their stories, right? Because I feel like everybody's story is a version of everybody else's story. It's just their own lens of how they see it, right? They might call it my angel, my guide. They might say it's an alien visitor, you know what I mean? That abducts me, you know what I mean? However they experience it, I feel like it's all energetic, and I guess I'm coming there from the idea of it's all, you know, it all comes from here, right? Like we create it. um
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, interesting. So okay, so what's life like for you now? I mean, it seems like you're in Lilydale. You're in a spiritual community. Are you like you're just like your life is full of workshops and um groups of focusing the energy, you know, I
Yeah,
guess you could
I
say.
actually run a church here. I'm the president of a church here.
Oh,
So,
wow.
yeah, yeah. So,
Oh, amazing.
when I jumped in, I like jumped in all the way. Yeah.
Amazing.
Within a year, within 2 years of being here, I became president of a church here, and like we have over 600 members. So it's
Wow.
a lot of work. It's a lot of work.
I can imagine. But also a lot of love, right? I mean, I'm imagining like for me, I have just the word that's been in my brain, and this happens to me is like these words come in my brain and they hang around for like a week or a month and they're just concepts, right? Community is the one that has just been hanging around and just like, you know, I am just so grateful to be a part of this sacred spiral community, the different communities that I'm a part of, you know, locally, you know, when it comes to community, you know what I mean? I'm also grateful for a lot of other stuff. You talk about gratitude, right? Like just grateful to be myself, you know, walking this world, which I think is, you know, a struggle that a lot of people
Yeah,
don't meet.
I think it's one of the reasons people find their way to Lilydale.
Mhm,
Curiosity, but you need to remember 147 years ago, we were originally based on free thinking. I
mhm,
It all started, people just gathering and speaking about everything and anything.
mhm.
Everybody trying to figure out what's life about? What is this, right? Because we're never
Yeah,
to that question, are we? Um,
yeah.
and it did form a sense of community, but we're also accepting of everything and everyone. And it is about love, unconditional.
I, it definitely sounds like my kind of place, right? Like just the idea of like, you know, accepting and um I feel like you guys have tuned into a frequency, right? And that's why, you know, you don't attract that lower frequency. You know what I mean? There is none of that that's happening there. You know, I mean, I'm sure occasionally somebody wanders through town, you know what I mean, with a low frequency, but like just to be in that space and to create that space, you know what I mean, is just so amazing. And wow, as I'm talking to you, finding out that you're actually the leader of a church. So let's talk about that for a minute because that's one of the and I'm always trying to be careful with the words that I say out loud, but that's one of the contradictions I find um in the spiritual community, right? Is this idea of a healer being better than somebody else.
Well, no, absolutely not. No,
Right, like, oh, I'm gonna heal you when
no.
I think that, you know, like let's talk about that. Like, I mean, I'm imagining there's none of that in Lilydale and in your church. Like, you don't, it doesn't seem like that at all. Like, oh, I'm the head of the church,
Well, first
you know.
we have no dogma. Okay, we have a set of principles that we live by, and our
Hmm.
principles are they're all the same pretty much in all the spiritualist churches. They're just vary a little bit differently in their wording, but honestly, what it's about is living a good life, being a good person, uh,
Hmm.
being good with everybody else, believing in mediumship, believing in healing. I mean,
Hmm. 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 Hmm.
in all honesty. Um,
Wow.
and we are never the healers. Okay, we're the conduit of that energy.
Hmm.
If you
Hmm.
come to me, You're going to your source. I'm just sitting there putting my hands on you, and it's your energy that we're moving.
I
Um,
love that. Yeah, yeah, yeah. For sure. For sure. I definitely I can definitely relate to all of that. Oh no, I lost my thought. That was
and surprisingly enough, we do have a healing temple here, and our healing temple in the summer brings more people than the mediums. I mean, there are hundreds of people that come through this healing temple just to experience what is this, what's a spiritual.
right.
And believe it or not, you spend 3 to 5 minutes with that person sitting at your bench, and they walk out like, what the heck just happened? Right?
Wow, really very energetic.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's a beautiful thing. It's a really beautiful.
Yeah, I love that. And I guess I don't know if you know who Emilio Ortiz is.
I do.
Um, you do.
Yeah.
He always I was just watching a podcast with him and my friends on Acid for Squares, and I just love the way he always says, like, what are you most excited about? You know what I mean? Like in this day and age, to ask that kind of question is just so powerful. Like just the idea of like F all of that noise that's going on in the world. What are you most excited about? Like what an amazing way to just open up the energy, right? To that. So let me ask you, what are you most excited about?
Hmm. What am I most excited? That's a good question.
I
Um,
love that question.
yeah, because I guess I need to go back a little bit to being a police officer, because when you put a gun on your hip every day and go to work, okay, I never knew when I was coming home. So I always appreciated every day like it could be my last.
Mhm,
I do that to this day. If I die tomorrow, I die a life well lived with no
mhm,
with
mhm,
regret. And so I don't think and see real deep into the future because I've never done
mhm,
it. I just take
mhm, mhm.
living each day to the fullest, to the best person I can be, to the best person I could be to others, and the best example.
I love that. I love that. Yeah, and as you're saying that, I'm thinking, wow, like that takes commitment, right? But it's also very easy, right? I think once you do commit to that, you feel it. And you said something interesting to me that I always felt, right? When I was growing up, I was born Jewish. I had a bar mitzvah. When I was bar mitzvahed, my parents said, "Hey, you can continue with your religious studies or not. It's up to you." And I just did not jive with organized religion.
Yeah, same.
Like just it wasn't like I didn't jive with a higher power or a lot of the ideas of do unto others as like those ideas were made sense to me, but everybody having to sit down and chant at the same time, which I look at a little bit differently now, right? I do see the power in that. But when I was a kid, I was just like, why do I have to be here? Why do I have to do this to prove that I love God? I love God, right? You know what I mean? And so it's just different. And again, like I said, now I can see it and I can see it different. Like I remember the first time that I kind of saw a kirtan from the lens of the guy who was putting it on, and it was explained to me what it was. Are you familiar with what a kirtan is?
No, no, sorry.
Okay, so no, that's all right. I think it's amazing. So a kirtan is something that I think people may have seen like in movies and in culture and had a total wrong idea about it. So a kirtan, it's a Buddhist tradition, I believe. And when you see, what a Hare Krishna is, right? Somebody who is like they wear the robe and they shave their head. So in like in movies you'd see in the airports like Hare Krishna, they'd be dancing around in the airport or whatever. So what a kirtan is you recite the name of the divine. There are many names of the divine. Hare Krishna is one that they believe in. And then you kind of have a little bit of a beat to it, and then you come around and you recite and you repeat, right? So the person who's leading the kirtan says the name, you repeat it, and then they come around and they do it again, but maybe with a little bit more energy, right? And the energy builds and builds, and naturally until people are up and they're just dancing around and really connected with the energy of what's going on. And it was so beautiful to like learn what that was from like not looking at it like, well, you guys are weird, right? To wow, this is such a beautiful expression and connection, right? With music and moving and sound, vocalizing, so many important things that I just look at differently now that I'm kind of an older guy, than I did when I was a kid. And I don't know, why did I even start talking about kirtans? I don't even remember
We're
why.
talking about organized religions, and
I was talking about organized religion, right? So I didn't continue after that, and it was only recently when I started hanging out with Sacred Spiral Network and Kelly, told me what spiritualist church was, and I was like, oh, I think that's where I belong. That's what I believe. And what I do love about that is that even though it kind of could be considered a religion, right, or a collection of beliefs, I've never heard anyone going around saying, "Hey, you should be a spiritualist." You know what I mean? Like, no, like you just are. You know what I mean? You just are exactly what you said. You're just trying to be the best person that you can. You know what I mean? Trying to be accountable for what you're contributing, energetically to the world.
right.
You know what I mean? And I think that's the only thing that I can see that will actually save save this place.
Very much like you, I would have never thought when I left the Catholic religion at 17, I would have never thought I'd step foot back in a church.
Right.
But when I found Lily Dell, first I didn't even know that it was a religion. And when I went into our church, which is a building called the Assembly Hall, and they had the principles on the wall, and I'm reading that, I thought, this is a religion. It's like, I do that, I do that, I do that, I do that. I could do that. That's,
Hmm.
it's like I believed it automatically. It's how I was living
Right.
life. So it was
Right.
such an easy fit without having to think that it was a religion that I was put in a box, because it's not that at all. It's not
Right.
at all.
Right. Okay. I don't know why, but my brain is going back to this, right? As kind of the opposite of that. Okay. Um, those things that you saw that were written on the wall, and you're like, I do this, I do this, I do this. Oh my goodness, my brain. It's just I'm just thinking about the opposite, right? Like somebody who just doesn't resonate when they read those words or see those beliefs, they're just like, what is that? You know what I mean? Like, I guess oftentimes I say the way I've kind of simplified it is there's two trains of thought. We're all in this together.
100%.
Every man for himself, right?
Well,
So is
yeah.
that evil? That I guess that's what I was thinking, and that's what I was
Well,
asking.
that's interesting you say that, because what did you say before that? You said community.
Right,
So it's all about community. It's not all about yourself.
right, right,
And when I said I do that, I didn't mean I do that, I do that. I meant I believe that, I believe that, I believe that.
right,
It was different.
right,
And ours is the God of your own understanding. I'm never going to tell you what your God looks like, what it is, who he is, he, she, whatever. It's the God of your own understanding, and I love that idea also. So yeah, it's very. So no, I'd have to say that it's community. It's yourself plus it's community.
hmm hmm yeah. And I think also, the idea for me that really helped me was something I talked about earlier in the show was being able to have a conversation with somebody totally different than myself, but still be able to see my reflection,
Yeah,
like whatever that might be, right? Like, just
I think if people look hard enough at anyone, and I mean anyone, you can find a bit of a piece of yourself in them.
yeah.
No matter what side. I mean, we have the monks that come here. They open our season every year. they're a total different religion than we are, but we
Mhm.
are, they're beautiful and they're calm and they love their discipline is unbelievable watching them build their mandala. It's crazy.
So what is that? Tell me what happens for people who don't know, because I don't know the ceremony that happens every year.
For the last several years, they open our week because we have a season here where, our gates are closed. We have workshops and all sorts of things going on, and they open our season. They're here almost an entire week, and they build a mandala, painstakingly with sand
Oh.
and colors like you wouldn't even believe, and it's this huge, huge, beautiful piece of art. And I'm telling you, they bend over, and it's this very unique process.
Hours and hours and hours. Yeah.
the, the most poignant thing that they do at the end of this is they have this beautiful ceremony and they pray and they sweep it up. They sweep it up, and people
Hmm.
are given parts of the sand, but it's
Hmm.
the humility in that.
Hmm.
And
Hmm. Hmm.
their painstaking work, and just to be able to sweep it up and
Hmm.
ceremony, and they walk it down to our waters and they pour it in the waters and pray.
Amazing, amazing. I have actually seen that tradition, not the monks, not in Lilydale, but I'm involved in the tattoo community. I don't have any tattoos, but I'm involved. I do videography and stuff like that. And at one of the tattoo conventions that they had, one of the artists did that for the whole, it was like a 3-day convention, and the whole first 2 days building this thing very painstakingly. Everybody, he's roped off, everybody's watching it. It's beautiful to watch. It's super, it's art. It's like living art. And then at the end, just sweep it up, and like, what a powerful energy and message, and everything about that is so amazingly powerful, as an analogy to how we should revere
It's a
life.
lesson learned without words.
Yeah, totally amazing. And we have Sit All requesting Professor Lombardo. uh what is that all about? Is that one of your students, and maybe an ex-student?
Not a professor.
Okay, okay. But it seems like you have taught a lot of people a lot of things in the different roles that you've played, and continue to play, uh, which is amazing. So what's going on with you these days? Let's talk about where Nancy Lombardo is today. Um,
I'm like you, and right in the room next door, I have a set of sound bowls. And I have come up with a program where I combine my yoga and my sound, which seems like a beautiful blend, doesn't it?
Amazing. It's an amazing blend.
And I don't know if you know it or not, but there's a lot of first responders and jail personnel that are struggling right now because of the high stress of their jobs. And I'm actually going to be doing a yoga sound in Pennsylvania for the jail personnel. They're having a statewide convention, wellness day.
Hmm.
Oh,
Hmm.
because this kind of stuff is getting into departments. It's getting into agencies.
That's amazing. What a perfect role for you, right? To play, because there's this level of comfort and respect, you know what I mean,
Yeah,
just based on who you are. And I think that's got to be a great experience for you, right? Also to be able to kind of know where they're at, right? And bring that into their life and be like, wow. I mean, do you ever wish you had that when you were?
yeah, I do.
Yeah,
It's a matter of getting them open and receptive to it because it's going to
right.
be woo-woo and a little bit of woo-woo.
Sure.
but but I think if they can relax into it, I mean, just
Sure.
like that bowl
Well,
for 2 seconds, and it was so relaxing, right?
I remember, I still remember the first time I ever heard a bowl. It's like I felt like it was coming from inside of me. I was like, where's that sound coming from? It's coming from inside of me. That's so weird. What's going on?
And
Yeah,
it could
for
definitely
sure.
move that energy without them even realizing what's happening to them. So I think it could do some really good work.
Yeah. I would love to see how that grows, because I think, like you said, there's probably an aspect of the job that you do need to kind of, put yourself in a certain space.
Mhm.
Um, but imagine if you can, put yourself in that space and then come home and put yourself in a different space, you know
Right.
what I mean? And not exist in that space for how many years you did,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, you're right about that. You're absolutely right about that.
Yeah, I mean, and to answer the question I asked you, that's what I'm excited about. Is I think we're coming to this age where people are realizing both can exist, right? Like there are certain ways that people are stuck in, but there are certain ways that empower us and allow us to connect with ourselves. And I would like to see it go more that way, but both can exist. You know what I mean? You can still have your Starbucks, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And still go within and know that there's something deeper within yourself, right? Than
I'm
the
glad that they're
Starbucks.
bringing mental health to the forefront also, because it's always been put on the back burner,
Yeah.
and we are, as people, are not invincible. We can think we are, but we're
Mhm.
not. That's why the suicide rate's so high, right? Um,
Sure.
we are not invincible.
Sure. Well, I think that you and I probably, and this audience probably, lives a little bit outside of some of the societal norms of um not knowing what self-love is, right? Like just the whole idea of, giving yourself that love and respect, not comparing yourself with their, like there's so many societal layers that I think that people are unaware of, you know what I mean? And you start to become aware of those layers, and you're like, oh, wait a second, I'm doing this because of this layer and this belief system that I had. And that's what I'm excited about, is those layers are coming off and people are starting to see, wait a second, I did this to myself. And it's almost part of your story, right? You were in a certain space and
Yeah,
you came out of that space and you're like, oh, wait a second, I'm in control here, and you took off in a whole different direction, and now look at you now.
there's more, right? There's always more. So
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
refreshing for sure. It's really
yeah.
refreshing. We had a couple here in Lilydale today. I was out running in the woods, and we have an astrology conference going on this week, and they were here for that. And she made the point to tell me, "Well, I'm into this, but my husband's not so much."
Hmm, hmm.
Did say how beautiful it was and how quiet and calming. And I said, "Well, I said, give him some time and space and just let him walk around. He might come around."
Right.
Right?
And I think, yeah, I think that that's a simple thing, right? Because even just relaxing for a minute,
Right.
right, gives you the time that you probably didn't give yourself. You know what I mean? My wife is a Reiki master. You know what I mean? And for me, I had Reiki previous to meeting her. And it was always kind of relaxing. But with her, it was a little bit different, right? Like I heard sounds when she put her hands here and stuff. But I do often see people who aren't familiar with Reiki. They get Reiki, and that's kind of like, how do you feel? And they're like, well, I'm very relaxed. And I think that that's the first step, right? Slowing down, being in the moment,
Yeah.
right? Like that's
Favorite sayings is to appreciate every moment. Yeah.
we. I think that's what people got to do more, is just be in the moment, um, and be grateful for it, right? And again, so I watched a bunch of your videos, like I said, and I definitely resonated with the messages. Were so simple, and again, I guess, everybody's got their own essence and their own presence,
Yep.
right? And you certainly have your own, and I think that I don't know. It was nice. It was nice for me to watch your videos and feel like, wow, this woman comes from a whole total different place than I do, but here we are, like just vibing on the same frequency. You know what I mean? About life. So that's great, and I appreciate it. It was really awesome to meet you and talk to you, and get to know you a little bit.
I have
Um,
I've watched your interviews, but I didn't understand your holding space until I heard your opening remarks, and I love the concept of that.
you know what? And it's funny you say that, because I don't think I ever open the show like that, and I was thinking today, like, I should just talk about what the hell I'm doing here. Like, why the hell do I have a show? Why are you watching this? You know what I mean? And just explain what it is real quickly and simply. And so thank you. I appreciate that. That I guess it worked. Very cool. Do you have any parting words of advice for this Sacred Spiral audience?
Just my simple advice is love life.
Yeah, that's simple advice and amazing advice at the same time. I think perfect words, love life, and like I say, also love yourself, and love others. I think you could probably put anything after that word love and
Right.
make a little sentence that just works. So there you go. Love everything. There's the words of advice. Love everything. And that word everything can just replace it with whatever you want.
Thank you.
Awesome, Nancy. Thank you so much for being here and spending an hour with me. I definitely appreciate it. And I guess we'll see you again soon. You're welcome back anytime. If you want to come back, just reach out. If you write a book or you do something notable that you want to promote on the show, here's a good place to
I got
hold
a book
space.
coming out, so I might take you up on that. So.
There you go. See that? Am I psychic? Maybe I'm a little bit
You might
psychic.
be
I,
psychic,
I
yeah.
don't know. I might be I might be a little bit psychic. Awesome. Me and my shadow, thank you. Jennifer McCormick, thank you, thank you. I can't tell you enough. I know I do tell you every time, you guys out there. If you guys weren't out there, intentionally being there and listening to the show, I would just be talking to Nancy out into the ether. Nobody would be listening. So it's important for you guys to be here. I feel you on the other side of this, and I appreciate you guys being here. And I also feel you if it is not Tuesday, August 18th. Maybe it's another day, and you're coming across this, on the archive. How cool is that? That we're speaking to you from the past. I think that's really cool. So thank you guys for being here. I will see you guys on Thursday. Actually, this Thursday, I do not have a live stream of consciousness. I apologize. I'm doing an event with work, a real estate broadcast. Probably not interesting to my audience, but I'll announce it on my Facebook page. And I'll see you guys later. Thanks, Nancy.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.